Welcome to this video. Today I'm gonna talk about the state charts or finite state machine. So what's the state charts? Why do we need state charts? What the elements of the state charts? How we can use state charts for modeling the system. And finally, what are the different types of state charts? So let's get started.
State chart or state machine, it's a model used for model the dynamic behavior of the system. It's one of the models that can be used for model the behavior of the system. From its name, state chart, it's clarified the purpose of the model. It's describe the state or it's describe the different states of the components in the system. The state here specific the components or the objects of the system. A state chart diagram describes the state machine, and the state machine can be defined as a machine which is define the different state and situation of the object or situation of the subsystem or situation of the system itself. So, for example, in any system, we can recognize different state of the system or subsystem or the objects. So here mainly we focus on the objects. So if we take an example of the car, so the car objects have different state. For example, the car object is running or moving or stopping and so on. So the objects of the car have different states. So based on these states, we can develop the state charts. Since the main component of the state charts is the states. Another example here in the slide, also for any system or subsystem, there is also is different. We have different state. For example, the idle, waiting, running. So in each system, the system itself can have different states. So the state here describe the life cycle of the system. So what the difference between state charts and other models? Or in another way, why do we need the state charts? Since we have another example or another type of diagrams and model that can use for modeling the behavior of the system. We have here, as we see here, we have for modeling the system, the behavior of the system, we have the use cases, the sequence diagram, the calibration, also the state charts. So why do we need the state charts and what the difference between the state charts and other type of diagrams or model? Let's see this example of the sequence diagram for the shopping, for the online shopping. In this example, we have the products as the objects, as well we have the shopping carts. So actually the sequence diagram here show the interaction between the objects of the system. It shows the interaction between the user, product, and shopping carts. However, the sequence diagram cannot depict and show the status of the objects. So in this example, we cannot see what's the situation or what the status of the shopping cart. Is the shopping cart currently is full? Is it empty? And so on. So we need another type of another type of modeling to depict and describe the situation of the object. So here we have the state chart, which is used for describing the system, describing the objects and the situation of the system and objects. What the purpose of the state chart? Actually, the main purpose or the primary purpose of the state chart is to model the interactive system and define each and every state of the object. The state chart it's represent the situation of the objects or the situation of the system or subsystem. So the state chart can be described as or the state chart also it's describe the flow from one state to another state and the movement from one state to another state. So we can say the state itself is defined as a condition is a condition of the object where the object is exists and change based on some based on input triggered by the user. So we can summarize that the purpose of the system or the state chart, the purpose of the state chart is to model the dynamic aspect of the system, to model also the life cycle of the system, also to describe the different state of the object and its lifetime. Where do state charts fit? As stated earlier, the state chart is used to describe and capture the different situation or the different state of the object. And it's important to clarify the different state of the object during its lifetime. And the state chart used for this purpose. So here we are focusing on the situation of the object during during the lifetime of this object. So it's very important to identify the different state of the object. So here we can say that each object or each class should have a state chart, but it's not always. If we look into the practical implementation of the state chart, so it's mainly used to analyze the object state and the events that influence this object. So here, analyzing the objects and understanding the different state of the objects is the main concern in the state chart. So the state chart is used to model the object state and the state chart is used to describe the behavior of the classes and its situation during its lifetime. So for each class, it's very important to identify the different state. More specific, I think we should to say for each object, it's very important to identify the different state of this object and the events that influence this object. So by doing that, we are defining the state chart of this object. So we repeat again. For each state, for each object, there is a state chart should be defined to describe the different state of the objects and the different events that influence these objects to move from one state to another state.